Next, we want to talk about your competition. So after you guys have figured out your goals, your objectives, your target audience, you talked about your product list, you figured out what you want to sell, who you want to sell it to, you've talked about your keys to success, and you figured out who your team should be. Next that's on that list is your competition. Because you figured out who you are, what you represent, and what you want to sell. Now you have to identify who you up against. That takes a lot. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of poking and prying to see who else is out there that's offering the same type of product and service.
Right. Who's your twin out there?
Yes, sir. You have to do the competitive research because without that, you're not gonna know how big you could potentially be, and you won't figure out who you're up against,
right,
which is very critical. You don't want to go out there thinking you're the only one providing that product and services, and you realize, wait, my product is not selling, and then you found out why not, because you got somebody else over here that's got a hell of a better product than you. You don't want to wait till it's too late to find out, basically.
Right.
So yeah, do that market research, and you want to start by, again, Googling whatever product or service list that you have. You want to research everything that you offer. See who's the top 10, see who's the top 25. Hell, see who's the top 100 in that industry, and just pick and play. Go through there to figure out, okay, well, if you Google the top 100, some people should start there, but if you Google the top 100, just figure out whose product is closer to yours. You know, with the beauty industry, for example, is big. It's a $1 billion industry plus. So in order for you to figure out how much of that $1 billion that you can make with your products and services, you gotta figure out who all is out there. So once you look it up to say, hey, the top 100 beauty brands, the top 10 beauty brands, or if you're doing hand soap, the top 10 organic hand soap companies, it's gonna pull up that information for you. And you wanna figure out what are they good at, what they suck at. Because what's important is to figure out how you can beat them. So you have to figure out how you are unique compared to what your competitors are already creating, basically. And I mean creating as far as revenue, creating as far as their brand identity online. You want to go through their testimonials, see what the customers like and don't like, figure out what makes their product successful or what makes their product sell, and then plug and play yourself in there where need be. If you feel like, oh man, no, I know I got them on a label, they label ugly. For example, make your label better. If you look at that and think, oh, I don't like how thick their lotion is, mine gonna be better because it's, just take yourself through that mindset of why you do and don't like that product. Compare that to what their customer reviews are saying, and figure out what's unique about it, and you will create yourself a competitive advantage. Because without that competitive advantage, you are not going to be successful in competing against competitors at all. Because you're just going to plug it right into the little mold with everybody else, and you're not going to stand out. You know more about that, because we stand out because we take the time to figure out how can we place ourselves here on the market.
You're talking about the competition, and all I can do is sit over here and think about being the competition. So if I'm your competition, I want to be the best me in my industry. You know what I'm saying? The best us.
Right.
I want the best team. I want the best graphics. I want the best quality. You know what I'm saying? Videography, whatever the case may be. And granted, everything is at a development stage. No matter how good your quality is, you always want to elevate your quality. In 10 years now, the standard right now will be obsolete because it'll be a new quality. And in 10 years from then, it'll be a whole new quality from that. So you have to always get into the mindset of evolution. You never want to become stagnant and think that, where you are today is where you're going to be 10 years. And that's something that I take very serious as a marketing director. Even from working with our clients, it's how can we always put them in a position to be the best them in their market. And sometimes we hit the mark, most times we hit the mark, sometimes we don't. But guess what? When you don't, that's a time to educate yourself or brush up on your research and double back and do something that you haven't necessarily done before and make it better. And you just keep sharpening that blade. And at some point, you're gonna be the top dog in your industry. Whether that's from a numbers perspective or just a quality. Like numbers, and let me say this too, numbers, like having 1 million followers doesn't always mean that that's the best company. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It could be a company that only has 200 followers, but they might have the best product on the market. But you just have to know what's going on. You have to be in the know as a consumer or entrepreneur, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But again, when you're in the competition, you want to stand out. You want to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to say, hey, look, those other guys, they're cool, but guess what? We're way cooler.
Definitely, definitely. And you made a great point when you said that the competitor might have, tons of followers compared to them versus 200. Another thing that you're going to be able to find out real easy when you do that market research, when you're trying to figure out who your competition is sometimes it's going to stand out like a sore thumb whether they're buying their followers. That is one of the, when it comes to marketing and working in PR and different things like that, when you start bringing on new team members, you're going to find out that a lot of these major companies buy their followers. They buy their likes, they buy the comments in order to look bigger. You won't know that without market research. You'll just go to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube and see 100,000 followers and 10,000 comments and 100,000 likes. You'll be like, wow, I'm starting out how, yeah. But start looking into the reviews, the real reviews, and you'll see that, there's not a trend there. You don't see hundreds of thousands of reviews online publicly. You don't see that. You're only seeing it on social media. So different analyzing like that is going to kind of keep you in that box for yourself to say, okay, I'm starting out cool, even though I do have 200. Right. Yeah, they have 100,000, but if I look at the reviews, they may not be real. So automatically that should tell you, you can't be successful in competing against them because you plan on growing your following organically. So the people who will follow you, will buy your product, they will engage successfully. Because a lot of times, I'm telling you, go look at those major companies' campaigns. They got the engagement, and if it's purchased, it's not going to transfer to revenue. So that's why you don't want to get stuck on numbers.
Exactly.
Numbers will get you in trouble when you're looking at your competitor.
And I'll be the first one to say, I'm not necessarily a fan of buying followers and comments and likes and stuff like that. I believe in growing organically. If I can't get it organically, I don't necessarily want it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's, to me, are the real metrics there. And granted, you might have all types of followers and fans that don't follow you. You get what I'm saying? And they might be watching you and wanting to do business with you. They're not always going to be right there in the forefront. Now, we would like them to, of course.
Of course.
But again, that's the nature of the business. This is stuff that I've seen, behind the scenes. So, don't get too consumed into the whole numbers game, like Sandra said. Just focus on what your task is at hand and build organically. Because with building organically, that's something you can be proud of.
Most definitely, most definitely. Another key point I want to bring up is once you do that market research and you identify like 3, just give yourself 3. Identify who your 3 top competitors are, and then again, figure out what they're good at, what they suck at, figure out what you're unique at, and then last but not least, perform a SWOT analysis for yourself. Basically what that SWOT analysis is, it's going to help you to identify what your strengths, your weaknesses, what the organizational threats are, and what the opportunities are in the industry. Once you have identified that, it's going to help you to figure out how much further you have to go. With those strengths, you've identified that, you good, you solid. With the weaknesses, it identifies an area that you need to work on. So with those weaknesses, you want to take those and create some tactical plans. If your weakness is communication, how are you going to make that stronger? Is that through a mentor? Is that through speech courses? Whatever it is that's going to help you with that communication, focus in, zero in on that weakness and figure out, how can I strategically make that better?
Right.
With those opportunities, once you identify the opportunities, one way is, of course, do the market research. See, that research, everything goes back to it each and every time. Everything. You're going to identify, oh, wow, there's a lot of opportunities here in this industry. I can partner with other people. I can bring in more different beauty brands. I can do a whole lot of more things because there's a lot of opportunities here on the market. And then your threats. Identifying those threats will help you create a plan to get around them, basically. So when you're doing your research and you figure out a threat may be, I don't know, more new competition coming to the area. What if there's if you do salon suites and there's a new building coming up downtown, oh crap, that's the one area all the freelancer, the independent contractors flock to for their suites. Well, I got more competition coming downtown. What do you have to do? They're a threat. So what is your game plan? Maybe it's to buy a billboard that's parked right there. Put that sucker right there in front of that building for your brand. You just have to figure out some, tactics to get around those threats, but make sure you have a plan for them. So if you identify there's 7 threats to you in this industry, you need to figure out 7 key plans on how to beat that, basically.
Totally agree.
Definitely.
And wrap up, I would even say, the beauty of business is the untapped potential of it.
Yeah.
What haven't you tapped into? Like, where can your potential increase to? You know? And, as long as that question is unanswered, you got work to do.
Yes, sir. You have a lot of work to do. But it can be simple. It can all be so simple.
It could all be so simple.
It's all in the planning. And you have taken the right step. You're doing this educational series, so by the end of that last module, you should pretty much have a good checklist of everything it's going to take to make you successful upon startup. So, good luck.
Good luck.